Hey everyone, welcome back to the Credible Nerds podcast. We are here once again to talk more about our favorite TV shows, movies, books, comic books, whatever is going on in the nerdverse. And today we are going to be talking some Star Wars, some comic book stuff, and then we'll be talking about some fantasy books that we really like. So stay tuned and get ready to get down into the conversation. We'll be talking about all these things and what we like and don't like. And if you agree with us, definitely comment on the video. Leave your comments below here on the YouTube channel and let us know what you think. If you agree, disagree, all that stuff. So we're down for some conversation, and obviously there's tons of opinions out there, and we are interested in hearing all of them. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel. Lets us know that you're listening, that you like it, and it helps us out a lot. Doesn't cost you anything. But yeah, get that out of the way. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. We are the Credible Nerds, and my name is Justin. And as always, I have my fellow co-host, my fellow nerd with me, Marc.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Yeah, so we are coming up on Thanksgiving 2023. We've gone through the summer. There's a lot of good summer movies. Some fell flat, some were awesome, and I enjoyed most of them. So it was a good summer season for movies. We're in the kind of that middle between the fall and the Christmas movies, so there's not a lot of movies going on, but still some good ones to look forward to. And where I'm going with that is I want to talk comic book movies. There has been a ton of comic book movies over the past probably 20 years. I think it started with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That was kind of the kickoff from there they just kind of kept going and going. And then we hit the Marvel area, the MCU, where there was like 3 or 4 Marvel movies every year. And DC was releasing theirs. We got Spider-Man back into it. So we have been inundated with comic book movies over the past 20 years, 15 years, right? And so the question is, are we done with them? Are we sick of them? Do we like them anymore? For me, I think the answer, I like a good comic book movie, don't get me wrong, but I think the answer is yeah. I think we're kind of done with them, at least with the stories, the plate that we have been served the last 20 years or so. And I think a big part of it is due to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because I feel like I was saying, we're getting 2, 3, 4 movies a year. With when we were in the middle of the Endgame, the Avengers, Infinity War series, I think we were loving it. Actually, we did several podcasts on reviews of those different movies, Iron Man series, Captain America series, Thor, all that stuff. And you can definitely go back and listen to those on our audio only feed. So we were in it. But I think, Endgame came out in 2018 maybe, kind of a couple years ago. And I think that was I remember I was excited to see it, but I was glad it was the last one, right? So, and I just think there's been a lot. DC never really got traction. I prefer DC in general, but even then, the movies they were putting out tended to be a little subpar in the last couple of years. There's some good ones here and there, but overall, it kind of petered out. And with Aquaman 2 coming up, I think that's the last one until James Gunn does his thing and reboots. And then I think he's trying to do the Marvel formula and put out a ton of DC movies. So, are we wanting more? What do you think, Marc? Are you done? Are you wanting more? Where are you sitting at with this whole debate as far as, are we done with comic book movies?
It's a tough one. It's almost like the zombie push, right?
Yeah.
We had the big zombie push, and it was amazing until it wasn't.
Yeah.
Right? And then
it's a good analogy. I like it.
Yeah, and so I think we're done with it to the point that I think people are getting sick of the same jokes, the same tropes, the same, you know what I mean? That's getting too much. I feel like DC started going its own way, and then they kind of felt that they had to follow Marvel's formula with just the the jokes and the Shazam type feel and things like that, and I didn't like that. But what I think we're not done with, and I know people are gonna hate me for this, I don't think we're done with the Elseworld movies. Meaning, like the Elseworld's kind of like the What If for the DC. The What Ifs, the Elseworlds. Like the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I will see the crap out of that second one.
Right.
That looks.
That's
the
true.
first one was amazing.
Yeah.
The Batman with Robert Pattinson. I'm interested in seeing the next one. That bad guy, right, was so awesome.
Yeah, the Riddler.
I enjoyed it. Now, yeah, the Riddler. I mean, some of my friends completely hated that show. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think that this is kind of a good and fun take. I mean, the Joker was a darker take on about a bad guy, the Joker, right? And how you became the Joker, and really interesting, fun. It touched on some real life things that I think brings people into it. So I think that for me, that we're done with the normal what we've seen for years, but I don't think I think there's still some interest in these Elseworld type movies, the What If type movies that bring a different take onto the stories we think we know.
Yeah, I can buy that. I like that because they are more character focused instead of big universe. All these crazy things going on all the time, and yeah, I think if we get one a year, one every other year, just the self-contained story, maybe it's connected to the previous movie or something like that, definitely. But yeah, I think, if Marvel can do it, great. I don't really know what they're doing next because I think they were moving into the Kang Dynasty thing, and then what happened with that actor and, his legal issues. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. And I think another aspect is there's the movies, right? So we've been talking about specifically, but there's also the Disney Plus stuff. Like how many, there's a new Marvel Disney Plus series like every 4 or 5 months, right? Right now they're just wrapping up Loki. And then I think they just released a trailer for Echo. So there's always that type of content, which I think I'm more forgiving of the TV stuff, the streaming stuff, because it is a longer, 8 episodes or whatever they end up being story, and it's more episodic. I don't know. I'm more forgiving of it, but at the same time, I don't want to feel like I have to watch all these seasons. WandaVision, Winter Soldier. I forget what that one was called. Captain America and Winter Soldier or something, and then Loki, and then Echo, and then Hawkeye. I don't want to feel like I have to watch all these things, hundreds of hours just to stay on top of the show, the main storyline. I think that's getting old. So I think if they can kind of scale back and make the movies more meaningful instead of just churn them out. So it's just, we got to make money. And that's I think that's where my feelings come from, is just, it's a money grab. We got to get this next movie out. And, there's that big controversy with the special effects on Ant-Man and then the last Thor movie, where they were rushing them so fast that the special effects CGI stuff wasn't really up to par, and it wasn't as good as some of the previous ones because there was just so much going on, and they had to hurry and get it out and all that stuff. So I think the quality's suffering from that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that we're seeing that, right? If we continue to look at release numbers, right, as far as what they're taking in, the amount of flops we're starting to see from this kind of genre is more and more often. Now I say flops, right? Like, oh my gosh, we made $500 million. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Come on,
what a crappy movie.
So, it's kind of hard to say what a flop is, but they're not performing to what they're expecting. And I like this idea that Disney Plus has done these series. I hate watching episode 4 and 5 because I'm swear I'm watching these episodes that are just filler episodes.
Yeah. Maybe, they got to tighten that story up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather watch 7 episodes than 8, if that's what we're going to do. But I feel like it tells a better complete story. Like I'm looking at something like Obi-Wan,
Mm.
right? I'm looking at something like, you know, the Mandalorian series, and I know that those are not the Marvel series, but I feel like if DC and Marvel started maybe looking at that, you could tell a better complete story around these people. I mean, it's really hard to tell these amazing, Flash's entire story, Batman's entire story, Superman, these weird Shazam versus Superman type stories in 2 hours. But you
Yeah.
sure can do it over 8 hours, and keep people involved. And the nice thing is, I'm not paying, $30 for just myself every time I go to the movie, $15 for the ticket,
Yeah.
$10 to breathe popcorn in, and then like if they give me a glass of water, there's the next five, right?
Yeah.
So, um, so that's kind of what I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
What I don't want to happen is I don't want to have to load myself up on subscriptions
Oh yeah. Oh, I
for
know.
different viewing. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a give and take, but I like the longer episode, the series that the doors that it can open to storytelling.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I mean, I think some of the best comic book streaming content we've gotten in the last few years has been like the Netflix series with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Defenders. I mean, some people didn't like, I guess, The Defenders and what was the other one? Iron Fist or the
Oh yeah, yeah.
that guy.
I know what you're talking. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't
Yeah.
remember his name.
Yeah. But they didn't really like that one as much, and it was fine. But so it's hit or miss. But like the Daredevil, I think it was 3 seasons of the Daredevil and the Defenders. That was like peak storytelling right there because it was, multiple series or multiple episodes, couples, 2 or 3 seasons. So it was just like you said, more complete storytelling, more complete character development that you can't get in the 2 to 3 hour movies. So yeah. So I think they just need to scale back.
Mm-hmm. Well, look what it did for the Matt Murdock, right? The Daredevil. I don't know if I've met a single person that liked the original Daredevil with
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, right? Terrible movie. I enjoy it because I enjoy comic. I enjoy that series that much. But it was a terrible movie. They were able to bring it back and make it great, and people really enjoyed the Daredevil movie. I mean, it was a solid series,
Yeah.
and so there is a lot of benefit to lengthening it out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I think if they just scale back and create more meaningful stories, I think we'll be good with comic book movies because I definitely like them and I don't want them to go away. I just feel like they need to be more purposeful with them to get more out of them and not just, churn them out and make all this money and don't care. So anyways, so that's where we're at with that subject. What do you got for us, Mark?
I want to talk about books.
Okay.
Book just came out from Jim Butcher.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who he is. If you don't, you're not. Get with it. I'm just kidding.
No, we talked about it lots of time on this podcast for sure.
Oh yeah. So he just came out with a new book, Olympian Affair, and I'm gonna just talk about Jim Butcher for a second. I think this guy is a brilliant writer. I think he's pretty linear in his books. Like there's not a whole I don't know. I don't want to say this because Dresden Files is pretty dynamic, but in general, his books are pretty linear, right? Like they're just nice, great books. They follow a good storyline. There's not too many side stories, crazy loop-a-doops, things like that.
Flashbacks.
This is his third, this is his third major series. He's got the Dresden Files. He has the Codex Alera, and now he has the Cinder Spire series. and that's what this one is, book 2. And I am about just over halfway, 300 pages in,
Uh-huh.
and this book is amazing. So I don't know. I guess for me, I he is a great author. I mean, I think it's about, I think for my love of books and reading is I was able to find great authors that I really am able to understand the writing, really engross myself in books. And Jim Butcher's one of the books I found. I know everyone has different authors, but if people are looking for fun sci-fi books, fantasy type books, Jim Butcher's the way to go. I get that he's had some crazy things in his personal life, and he actually did lose a lot of fans from some of the stuff, and he had this weird release. It's like a double book release within like 6 months. It was really just one book that was a money grab
Yeah.
that really upset a lot of people. But man, this guy's a good writer, and I don't think I can say it enough. And that's just kind of my take. You've read some Jim Butcher, right? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I've read the Dresden, most of them, up until the last 2 that came out. And then the Codex Alera series, I read the first one. Is it the Aeronauts Windlass? Is that, or what's the first book?
That's Cinder Spire series. That's Aeronauts Windlass. And Codex Alera is what is the first one? I just bought it.
That one, yeah. The Furies. Well,
Furies of Calderon.
Yeah.
Furies of Calderon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've liked all his books. They're very fast paced. Like it starts out kind of, I wouldn't say slow. It's just normal introductions and setting the stage and all that stuff. But then once things get going, a couple chapters in, they get going and it's intense and it's just boom, boom, boom action. There's not a lot of exposition like you get with Robert Jordan, one of my favorite authors. There's a lot of exposition in his chapters, right? You start out like I narrowed it down to kind of his general formula is the chapter starts out with a conversation and then there's like 8 pages of people thinking and walking through the castle and they're looking at all the stuff. So you get a description of all the things. And then there's a conversation again for like a page or 2. And then there's like another 3-4 pages of thinking. And then it closes out with another conversation, right? So there's like all this content, but not a lot going on. And Jim Butcher's like the opposite. It's just boom, boom, very quick, very fast paced. You get what you need to know within, a couple pages. And it's just, it's exciting to read. I mean, it's hard to put down because there's just fun books to read. So yeah, definitely he's got talent. He has a way with words. He's kind of like
Rothfuss.
Yeah, Patrick Rothfuss. He's kind of like that. He's a great writer. Patrick Rothfuss is it, but he's a little more Robert Jordan-y, but yet he still has a lot of really good content. And I would say Jim Butcher's like even better than him as far as like moving the story along.
Oh yeah, yep. I've met Jim Butcher a few times. I probably met him, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. I have a lot of my books are autographed by him. I've said this before. I'll say it again. He is not a great person to meet. Yeah. He's just not, I don't know, just not very personable, but I love his books and I will read his books till the end of the day. I was a little nervous. So he was divorced, and when he got his divorce, I don't really know all the specifics. I'm not going to pretend to, but his wife used to be his main editor, and she is not anymore. And I noticed in his prior 2 books, they're called Battleground and Peace Talks. His last 2 books from the Dresden Files series, they were good, but I felt like something was missing. Like it wasn't as good as the rest.
And those 2 books are the ones he wrote after the divorce?
After the divorce, yep.
Okay.
And they're the ones that came out 6 months apart. And I was like, and I could tell that there was something missing from that. And I wonder if it was from that. So that worried me until this book came out. And then I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I don't, maybe that was a blip, maybe it was just a tough part to get through. I don't know what that was, but this book restored my faith in what he can bring to the table, because this is an amazing book. It's really quick. I mean, the whole premise of the book is fun and interesting. It's basically old sailor, pirates in the sea, kind of that stuff, but in the air,
Yeah, with
right? I
like
mean, they use technology,
hot air balloon.
airships and stuff. Yeah, sort of. It's a little different than that, but it's pretty cool how he explains it. I'd like to say it makes sense, but flying ships doesn't really make sense. You just have to read it and kind of get
Yeah.
it. So, but it's pretty cool because you don't see. There's not like wizards and there's not these big dragons and things. There is some magic, but not to the degree I've seen in his other books, which is kind of fun, right? Because then you have real life people having to deal with real life problems on a real life level. And I like that, right? Because we can connect to them better. Like, I mean, I can't cast a spell, I'm not going to be a dragon reborn, right? So it's kind of like, and unless my imagination runs me wild, and it does, I just connect to it better, and I like that.
Okay. That's cool. So do we know how many books in this series are they're going to be, or where? I don't know. A lot of times I don't know until they get into it, but so what do you think?
Yeah, just reading it, I imagine this will be something like what we saw from the Codex Alera, about 5 or 6 books.
Yeah.
And I actually thought for a second, just the way like some of the names are, they're a little bit more like past, like human history, past tense. Like Codex Alera was kind of like the old Greek, or Roman, I guess,
Roman. Yeah.
names and like that. And then some of these names, like Olympia and Aurora and stuff like that. So at first I actually thought, like, I wonder if it's somehow loosely connected, like it's thousands of years in the future from Codex Alera. But it's definitely not, which kind of sucked, because I feel like they could have done some fun things, like if he kept going with Codex Alera in the future.
Yeah.
But he recently gave a podcast about that. I haven't listened to it yet. I want to, but he gave a podcast about the Codex Alera, and I wonder if he said anything. I know originally he said he's done with the series, but I mean, he left it open as a big cliffhanger at the end. Like, there is opportunity to continue writing that story.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you're loving it. So first book was good. You're loving this one so far. Yeah, I think it's another hit by Jim Butcher. It's cool. Well, I haven't gotten it yet. So I'll be getting it soon, and maybe we can do a review on it, on both, books 1 and 2 later at some point in the future. But I'm definitely looking forward to his next books as well. So cool. Well, we want to start doing a couple new features in the things we talk about. We want to, start doing like a top 5 list, or top, 3-4 list, whatever it ends up being, maybe 10 list, top 10 list, but just kind of generate some ideas, some discussion, and see what we like and that sort of thing. So we are going to do, Mark, you're going to do the top 5 list, right? Top 4 list today.
I'm going to do top 5, right?
Okay.
For me, I think it's top 5 books, right? I mean, top 5 sci-fi fantasy books.
Okay. Books or series, or
so we're going to leave
both?
out, I think, just books, individual books, even within a series.
Okay.
Right. Because there's a lot of good books out there, and I know, we can say what series they're in, but individual books are great. I think my number 5, I'm going to go with Mistborn. Great book, right? Brandon Sanderson, fun book. Book 4, Memory of Light. Brandon Sanderson, Robert Jordan, right? Brandon Sanderson figured out Robert Jordan's book. Amazing, like book 14, book 15, something like that, depends where you start, to that series. Fun book.
Mm-hmm.
Book 3, Sphere, Patrick
What?
Rothfuss. Book 2,
What? What's 3?
A Wise Man's Fear.
Wise Man's Fear. Okay.
It's Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
Yep. Patrick Rothfuss book, his second book in his series. First one's Name of the Wind. Great series, pick it up. But man, that second one was amazing. If he ever comes out with that third one before I die, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So, number 2, Lost Metal.
Okay.
I mean, that was simply amazing. Yeah, that's the Mistborn series, Wax and Wane era.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the last book of that. I think it was book 4. So great series, pick it up. But that book in particular was great. So I like book 1, Mistborn, right, was my number 5 all the way in. And then my very favorite book, and this one's really hard because I really like the Dresden Files series. It is my favorite series of all time. But my favorite book is Deadbeat.
Deadbeat. Which one's that?
Like
what happens in that one?
I think it's book 6. I will tell you what one it is in about 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Book 7. Okay. Deadbeat, book 7 of the series, so it's kind of far in the series. Things are starting together. Like the first 4 or 5 books are kind of feel standalone-ish, and then things start coming together, as a whole. So, you have that going on. And then you have necromancy going on, right? You've got the followers of Kimmler. They're all different types of necromancers, which was really cool, right? Because you think necromancer along the same lines, but they all practice necromancy in a different way. Some were raising zombies, some were raising ghosts. It was just really cool how they were doing it. And then all of a sudden, you get Harry Dresden showing up with a freaking undead dinosaur. And you just don't get better than that. It was so amazing, right?
The T-Rex.
And yes, and then he throws down. It's probably one of the first time where you just see him let loose on a level we haven't quite seen, and it is probably my favorite sci-fi fantasy book of all time.
Yeah, it's really good. I agree. That's when they because before the books were good, but they were more standalone, or at least you didn't see the connections. And then it was around, like you were saying, that book that it all started to come together. That became more episodic, and just the overall story was interesting before, but it became more interesting, I guess. So yeah. And you can't, the visual as you're reading it for the first time of Harry riding the T-Rex through the streets of Chicago, that's just something you'd never read about in any other book, right? It's insane what happens there with that whole sequence. So, and I remember we went to that museum and we went inside and saw the dinosaur bones, and I was like, that's it. That's the one. It's the T-Rex. So yeah, I think that's a good list. Mistborn, definitely up there. Top 5, Memory of Light for sure. It just wrapped up that whole Wheel of Time series finally after however many. It started in 90, I think was the first book. And so it was 15 years plus. And the author died, so we didn't know we were going to get it. So they had to finish the series, but we did. Wise Man's Fear, I like it, but I think I like the first one better. So
Name of the Wind, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked the first book a little bit better. Lost Metal, I liked it, but I wouldn't put it on the top 5 list for my thing, but it's definitely top 10. I don't know which. Deadbeats I liked. I can't really pick out which one. Summer Night, I think it would be probably on that top 5 list for me as far as the Dresden goes. So
that's a good one too. Really good one.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good list for sure. So yeah, let us know. Have you guys read these books? I'm sure a lot of you fantasy lovers have read, Mistborn, Memory of Light, probably Wise Man's Fear. What about the Dresden Files? We talk about that pretty consistently, and we've started a series review. Then we got sidetracked. But we did, I think, the first 2 books of our Starborn reports, our audio only podcast. We did the first one, then Full Moon, and then we're getting ready for the 3rd one, and we kind of, like I said, got sidetracked with other stuff. So, but yeah, check out Dresden Files, check out Codex Alera, check out this new series, the Cinder Spires by Jim Butcher. You won't regret it. So, all right. So to wrap up this episode, I'm going to give a hot take, and this is inspired by. I mean, it's always been there in the sense that, every time I log onto Twitter, aka X, which I still think is stupid name, but Twitter, right? There's always Star Wars commentary, Star Wars posts, this, that, the other, and the majority of them that talk about the sequels are negative towards the sequels. And I get the criticism. Don't get me wrong. However, it's also inspired by, we were at FanX Salt Lake Comic Con last month, and we ran into a guy who was doing some TikTok videos, doing some quizzes, and you did pretty good on the quizzes, Mark, right? You got like $20. He was giving away money if you answered the questions right. So, but like his intro question was, are the Star Wars sequels, aka Episode 7, 8, 9, are they canon to the Star Wars saga? And I said yes, they were, and I think they are. And here's the reason why I think they are: because you have Han Solo in the first, Han Solo, Luke, and Leia in the first ones, and they are part of the original trilogy, and their story carries over into Episode 7, 8, 9. It's not like a new thing that you can separate the two. A lot of the same concepts are there in 7, 8, and 9. And I think, the story continues. We see what happens to our heroes from the original trilogy, Chewbacca, even Lando. Wedge shows up for a 2-second cameo, which should have been a lot longer than that. But anyways, so we got that integration of the original trilogy characters, and even some of the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy stuff was introduced with Darth Sidious, even though that's a big controversial point, but I still like it. So I think the Star Wars sequels are canon to the Star Wars saga and should be accepted as such. And I think a lot of the hate is unwarranted. Me being an original trilogy fan, I saw Episode 4, the first Star Wars, in theaters in 1977. I was 4 years old, and I remember back then comments about how Star Wars was not good by older adults. And I've lived with this commentary, Star Wars this, Star Wars that. It's not good. It sucks. Since 1977. Prequels came out. Not everybody, a lot of people hated Episode 1. Episode 2 was even worse. Episode 3 was all right, So it's like every new generation of movies that come out gets this hate. And then within a few years later, oh, it's all right. And then it turns into, oh, I really like that, So it's going to happen. So all you guys that are hating on 7, 8, 9 are going to change your mind, because that's history. So that's my hot take. What do you think, Mark? Are the Star Wars sequels canon?
Yes, but I wish they wouldn't be. But they will be no matter what.
Right.
Disney will never relinquish that. It is a money cow for them. It's an amazing story. But they are too prideful to recognize the trash that they made. I like Star Wars as a whole. My gosh, that was a terrible storyline with Palpatine. Like, cool, he's alive, but then she's his weird clone
granddaughter,
and just, but she's all the Jedi and he's all the Sith, and just weird things. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is just tough. I would rather watch a solo movie about Jar Jar Binks than watch that.
I wouldn't mind that either.
Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish that they could find a way, honestly, to decanonize it and kind of rewrite it in a way that I feel comes together with what we're seeing from Star Wars Rebels, the feel that we got of 1, 2, and 3, the originals, I guess, 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, and 3. I just feel like we lost something there. It was like a step back, and we won't, which is really sad for me. I think they're terrible movies, but they're part of it. I saw them all in theaters, and I have never watched them again, but yet I own them.
Yeah.
I bought them a ban, and they sit in my Voodoo account, never to be watched again. That's what I do with my money. Yeah. So,
Okay.
They're canon. It's not going to not be canon, but gosh dang it, I wish they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of the points. I get some of the points you're making, and I partially agree with some of them. I didn't say, are they good? I said they are canon, right? Well, I think they are good. I don't think they're great. I think they are good. Like that middle of the road. There's good, better, and best. They're good, So, and I do wish The Last Jedi was better in the sense that they didn't kill Snoke. I think that was a big mistake because then they had to bring back Darth Sidious, right? Or a bigger, they had to bring back somebody. So, but why kill him? He could have just died in the third one, or I don't know. There's those kind of choices I get, and I think Last Jedi is the weakest Star Wars movie, including Solo, which I really like, including even the Clone Wars movie, and so. But there's good things in The Last Jedi, but as a whole, it doesn't vibe with me at all. But the strength lies in episode 7. I think that's a strong Star Wars movie. And episode 9, despite its warts, I feel like it's definitely a stronger movie than Last Jedi. But I think it's a strong movie. But I don't think it should be the ending of the Star Wars saga. For me, it was just another chapter in. And it's not over yet. So that's kind of how I say. So I do believe it's canon. I believe it's a good movie, but not a great Star Wars trilogy. So that's how I leave it. If you disagree, which I'm sure a lot of you do, definitely let us know if you agree with Marc that you wish it could be decanonized somehow. Let us know in the comments, and we'll read them and check it out, see what you have to say. So yeah, that's our show for today. We want to thank you guys for listening to the Credible Nerds podcast. We'll be back next time with more top 5 lists, more hot takes, more discussion about all the things we love, all the different franchises, Star Wars, Star Trek, as you see in the banner up there. Where is it? In the banner, Transformers, Star Trek, Marvel, Cosmere, right? So we talk about all of it, so we'll get to it at some point. Wizarding World, I don't know. I might have to take that off. There's not much going on there. They just kind of stopped or put a pause, is what they said, on the Fantastic Beast movies, which I liked. I mean, they weren't amazing, but I liked them. But yeah, so we'll be talking about all that stuff, all our favorite franchises and movies and things like that. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate that. Doesn't cost you anything, and we will catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.